Welcome to Urban Grown Stories, a companion podcast for the Urban Grown Tour, hosted by Cultivating KC. You will hear from urban farmers, growers, and advocates across the Kansas City metro area. From the history of local food in KC, the challenges new farmers face, and the impactful ways you can get involved in our local food system. This story collection will leave you inspired, informed, and hungry for change.
In this episode, we visit MO Hives KC to hear from Charity and Marianne. This is their story.
The Links Incorporated are an organization I also belong to, a volunteer organization of African American women who do projects in the communities. And so the very first year we broke ground, they also had a partnership with the National Wildlife Federation. And National Wildlife Federation was trying to start native gardens around. And so we started a native garden for wildlife as part of the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Wildlife program here on the apiary. And it was in part the ladies with the Links Incorporated. They came and planted it. So we planted one bed of native flowers, and then we planted right next to it a bed of food. So a food bed. So it was a way to directly demonstrate the relationship between what native plants are doing for us in supplying our pollinators with food, and then what then the pollinators come and do for us in return as in help us grow more food. So this was our first foray into having an intentional garden from what it was as a wild sort of space in the middle of the block to sort of a garden. Anyway, we tend to do like natives here, and then we'll do some food next to it. Tomatoes, peppers, just some basic things that are not too hard to take care of. As a physician, I'm really into the medicinal aspects of honey. And so I wanted people to think about honey as a benefit for their health, as a substitution for refined sugars and sweeteners. What can you use honey for besides just your tea? Well, you could use it for baked goods. You can use it for jams and jelly. I mean, there's just so many ways. But when people enter the bee farm, they're like, oh, no, what's going to happen? And I tell people, you may see a few bees when you get here, but they are out doing work. They're flying 3 to 5 miles away, trying to find food and forage for water and all kind of resources. And they are not interested in you. They might buzz up to you, try to figure out if you're a flower. Once they figure out you are not, in general, they're going to buzz away. And so that's the surprise, I think, for most people, is that they come and usually there's 500,000 bees on property at any given moment of the summer. And they're like, really? And I don't see any. Where are they? Can we go see them? I'm like, well, they're already here. And so, again, demystifying beekeeping, taking the fear away from people, hopefully will help people do their own little conservation piece, right? Just for our own mental health sake. So, we do this for, I say our Hive 5. And our Hive 5 is the why of why we do this work. First is certainly for bee conservation, not just for honeybees, but again, honeybees for urban residents sometimes are the only bee they're familiar with. You might be familiar with a bumblebee. They might be familiar with a honeybee because they're familiar with honey. But you start talking about other bees, sweat bees, and carpenter bees, and you're like, wait, what? But honeybees open the door. Oh, okay, I know that, right? I know that. Then we start talking about if you can do this for the honeybee, it's actually going to benefit all the other pollinators, all the other bees, all the other bugs, all the other birds, all the other wildlife that you're doing this for, whatever this is, whether it be not spraying so much, leaving a wild path, planting something native. And you're going to be doing other things. So we do it for bee conservation. We certainly do it for food security. We want people to know we are intentional about where we locate ourselves because we want people to know the direct correlation between a healthy food system. And it is not about somebody building a grocery store in the neighborhood. Yes, everybody needs a grocery store. But if you don't know that bees and bugs are part of a healthy food chain, you're not going to have food security. If you don't know that you can't spray and kill everything and still think you're going to have a healthy food supply, you're not going to have a healthy food system. So we do it for food security's sake so that people just start to connect the dots on, oh, there are some bugs that I need, right? People are used to bugs being roaches, and that's just the scourge of the earth. And I get that. but there are other bugs that you kind of need. And so can you get into partnership with this type? And so opening people's minds. So we do it for fruit. Beautification. So all of these neighbors around here did not dump on these 6 lots, but these 6 lots were mentally draining to look at. I mean, when I saw them, I mean, it did make my mind happy. And that is a health impact, right? Your mental health affects your physical health. And I'm like, beautification is important because these residents did not deserve to have their mind assaulted with that much debris and negativity. So anyway, for beautification, so we try to plant things. We try to get it to look more beautiful again, because that is right and just. And it's mentally healthy for everybody in the community. And when everybody in the community is a little healthier, then individually we're all healthier, right? We do it for STEM exposure because we want kids to know, like things like the Lincoln University. You could get an education, and this is the type of STEM. Kids think of STEM as just robotics and Lego building, but STEM is entomology and ag tech and soil science and water science. It is all of those things. And you can be a part of STEM tech without being a farmer on a ranch field. And people think, oh, farmer, I'm going to do that. That's what ag is. No, ag is a type of STEM, and it includes so much more than you having on, a cowboy hat in the middle of a field. That seems foreign to you. I get that. But you like drinking water and you like eating healthy food. Ag science and water science and environmental science. And so again, it's a type of STEM. So we do it for STEM exposure. And then we do it for money. We tell people, again, nobody's out here living for free. Everybody has to have food and shelter, and that costs something in this world. And so giving kids an exposure, not kids, people, an exposure to the fact that these industries don't just have to be things you do for free like Dr. Pearson does, right? These industries are a part of the world that helps the world go around, that you could be a part of to make your career what you want it to be and to make your income in your life what you want it to be. So think about it as a career. And truly, the beekeeping just alone is a $15 billion industry in the U.S. And it is an industry that a lot of people don't have a part of. African Americans aren't a large part of the beekeeping industry. Women are not a large part of the beekeeping industry. And so showing people that even in an industry where you don't have a lot of representation, that's okay. Because the truth is, everybody can contribute something. And then conservation is our overall arching conversation. And I tell people the same thing. The conservation conversation needs to include all of us, because we are all out here either helping the environment or harming it. And the more we can get people on board to helping the environment, the better for everybody.
I am Charity Brown, Executive Director here at MO Hives KC. So first, let me say I love the work. I love nature, right? I do. I love everything about outside. But some of the challenges of outside is becoming one with Mother Nature. I mean, she is going to do what she's going to do, and you have to adjust to it. And that's challenging, because one day you can feel like, or 1 week, you can feel like, okay, here we go. We're going to be able to do this, and this, as we have, probably still 7 yards of dirt over here that we plan to use. But then Mother Nature said, no, we're going to have a few rainstorms, thunderstorms, cold fronts, as it's still pretty chilly today. And we're going to make it pretty uncomfortable for you to do what you need to do, or pretty impossible for you to do what you need to do, because you can't work with dirt in the rain because it'll be mud, right? So those are just some of the challenges, trying to become one with Mother Nature and figure out, what is the best practice from year to year, I guess, and especially in the Midwest. Me being new to beekeeping, so my son is the veteran of it all, right? Dr. Pearson got him during the pandemic at the very start of it all, and I just was kind of here and there. But, now getting entrenched, I was so sad to know that we were going to lose bees. Oh, we lose them? I didn't know we lose them, right? And she was like, yeah, Chair, we're going to lose. Maybe we can lose 40%. What? So that kind of devastated me, right? And then I was thinking, okay, so we went in and we seen, at this apiary, how many we lost. And I'm like, okay, so there's hope. But then it was like, oh, we got another blizzard, like a week after that. And it was like, oh my God, so what are the little bees going to do? As soon as we thought that, you might have been over all of that. So anyway, just being new to it, really trying to figure out the system and how and what to keep and what plants to plant. And, oh no, we need to chop that down a little bit so it can grow back. And, just figuring out what to do and how to keep it all presentable. The purpose in us taking vacant lots is to not have them look so blighted, right? So yeah, what do we do now that we have them in a sustainable space to keep them looking sustainable? So those are some of the challenges. I do enjoy the part that MO Hives does in the summertime with the young people, where we hire teenagers and college-age students to come and learn conservation, if you can learn it. I guess that's a learning thing. Even to have an appreciation, I don't think you can't teach anybody to have an appreciation for nature. You just kind of got to expose them to different sides of it all, right? So we don't just do beekeeping, but we let you understand the importance of pesticides, right? Water pollution. We go and pick up litter on Wabash, and you learn a little bit about trees. So you might want to be an arborist, right? We teach you a little bit about composting and the importance of mulch, and learn about different plants and what they do. And so I love that part, getting young people involved in nature. Everybody is not Charity as a mom. My son, we're outside. We're fishing. We're understanding the importance of water and why we don't litter and why we don't do this and why we don't do that. And so I exposed my son to that, but maybe the young people can expose their families to that. And so that's really important to me, and I love that part of it. So we're doing a lot of tabling. You're seeing us in different spaces now where you might not see a beehive, a beekeeping organization, to just expose young people to the different ways that life can be lived and different career opportunities as well. It was just so refreshing to me. Or to go over and pick a fresh watermelon from my uncle's place and come back and they were like, oh no, baby, you just drop it. And then whatever pieces were on the ground, it was like, oh, we just pick it up and we just eat it. Oh, I loved it. So I fell in love with it early as a girl, spending, a couple of weeks each summer there with my elders in Louisiana. And that's really how I got indoctrinated to it, and I've been loving it ever since. Absolutely. I do want to mention that sometimes Cameron and I, it's like, hey, we're going fishing. If we don't catch any fish, then we won't have any meat that meal. And it's okay, right? Because that's really how people had to live. If we didn't catch the fish, or if we didn't raise the hog well, or if we didn't do well by the chickens, we weren't going to have meat. So here we are. We're going to eat these zucchinis or make this cucumber salad and call it a day, right? That's important. So if you just look at the changes in the world now, current day, you need to know how to do it, because you need to know where your food is going to come from. And we need to strengthen our diets, because it might not be such a great variety. A vast variety of food is going to be straight vegetables that you can grow in your city and, in your area. So it's becoming a lot more important, right? To know how to farm and garden. And I'm grateful for my tradition and my upbringing. Absolutely. My granny, and she's very much like homemade stuff. It's not too much processed stuff you're gonna get from her house. Like if her heart kind of gave out, like she's 80 something. Can't farm like she used to, but she just love, the peas and the greens and that's all we would kind of like eat. Yams can last a while. You keep them in. Let me tell you something. You keep these yams in a cold, dark place, and they will last you, and they're not going to rotten. And you can do this to them too if you want to cook them and put them this way. And I mean, you learn those things, and it's priceless. It's priceless. Greens won't go bad either. Just blanch them. Here's what blanching means. This is how you do it. And I'm like, oh, say less. Well, I can do that with all my greens in the garden, right? And so Yeah. Yeah. Priceless forever. I want to pass it on to everybody that I know. Like, you can't say that you don't know, you know. So like my mother is not the grower and the outsider, but she can cook almost anything. She can create almost anything. And so can my grandmother. My grandmother grew up knowing and having to know because my great grandfather passed when she was 12. And then my great grandmother had 11 children she had to raise. But my grandmother can grow it and knows how to do that, but can create anything from anything. I remember one time I used to run the summer program at my church called Freedom School. And anyway, we had like 100 kids. And somebody was like, could y'all use this 50-pound bag of beans? And my grandmother was like, yeah. And I can't tell you how many ways she cooked beans. But the kids was like, I don't even like beans. We was like, well, this is all you have to eat. But it was some chili beans. It was some other kind of beans. Like she just made these beans with so much love in just different ways. And the kids was like, I didn't know I like beans. You know, so yeah, my mother, we go fishing. She'll clean them and she'll cook them. You need to know all those skills, you know? And I love the idea that you guys have show you places that are doing some of those things. That's the biggest thing. So I'm in an HOA because my son has a hive and it's one of the biggest producing hives we have in MO Hives, right? And we want to take that hive home, make space for a new hive to come, right? But the HOA, no, we can't take the hive home. Okay, great. And we have 1.5 acres, right? If not 2. I think we have 2. Yeah, I mean, we can't take the hive home. But when I went to the meeting, I said something about it. And we have a lake there too, right? Right down from my home. You can see it from my backyard. It's beautiful, right? I said, and the biggest concern and the problem that we're having with our lake is that because we are not educated on how we treat our lawns. We want to treat them to beautify them and to make sure we get rid of the ants and we get rid of all of nature, but we're killing nature. So now we can't enjoy our pond, our lake, because all the fish are dead. Because why? When it rains, what happens to everything from your lawn? It washes off right into the lake there. And then what? Oh, that's what it is. So if you use diesel, if you use Roundup, if you use all that, and you use it excessively because it's not going quick enough, not understanding that no matter how much you use, it's going to take time for any of it. So you can use vinegar and Dawn, and you'll get the same exact results as you would if you use Roundup. And then, you know, so it's just about educating. I try my best to educate. We don't want bees, but we're spraying our flowers because we want them to look pretty. But if we had bees, not understanding that they will pollinate them and they will grow better and look better.
I went to my first beekeeping class in December of 2019, and I took a student that I knew. And she lets me tell the story, but she was a patient of mine. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go to my first beekeeping class. And I think she might have been in the 6th grade. And I was like, what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to go? And she's like, yeah, I'll go. And so that was my first beekeeping class. And so after the class, I went up to our co-founder and I said, hi, my name is Miriam Pearson. And this is our first beekeeping class, you know, Gabby and I. My first beekeeping class. Are you a beekeeper? He said, I've been beekeeping in my backyard for 4 years. And I was like, well, will you help me? Because I want to start this organization. And he was like, would love it. So I needed a beekeeper because I didn't know anything about it. And I needed a blueprint. And so Brian Reeves is our co-founder. And he was like, oh, I'll help you. And he has been incredible. He's now on the National Board of Beekeepers. So, I mean, we got a Kansas City representative on the American Board of Beekeeping. So anyway, it's been an amazing journey. That's how we got started. When I think it was National Geographic discussed the threats and the value of the honeybee was like the creature of the year, or the living organism of the year. I forget what the title was. But when I learned about the threats and colony collapse, I was just like, the bees? Really? I didn't really even realize that was a thing. Man, I'm a honey lover. And I guess I should do something helpful. So again, in looking for a hobby, I was also looking for a way to help. And so this was my way, in my mind, to help nature in general, because I am such a nature lover that it all came together.
Food for thought. How can you help support your local food system? Start with buying local.
through CSAs or your local farmers market. Volunteer at your local growing space, cultivate your own food, or voice your support of urban growing to your elected officials. Visit cultivatekc.org/urban-grown-stories for more information. For more on the growing site featured in today's episode, please check the show notes. Thank you for listening to Urban Grown Stories, a podcast brought to you by Cultivate KC in partnership with KC BizCare. Urban Grown Stories is hosted and produced by Jessica Garcia, with interviews recorded and edited by Kara Harbstreet, a Kansas Local Food Fellow with K-State Research and Extension. Production and editing support from Eric Hemphill and Ami Freeberg, with intros provided by Cultivate KC staff. Keep growing, Kansas City.